Hello, I'm Jefferson Singer, Dean of the College at Connecticut College. As that move-in video just demonstrated, the great class of 2024 and our impressive group of transfer students have already exhibited their can-do spirit in these challenging times. Let me extend a generous welcome to your families, parents, siblings, grandparents, and relatives who are our partners in a shared determination to keep your education moving forward. Let me also express our gratitude to the faculty and staff who have been working since March to reinvent our college as a flexible institution that can deliver outstanding learning in person or remotely. Whether building plexiglass barriers and testing centers or using Zoom applications and breakout rooms, they have devoted themselves to bringing us to this moment, the opening of another academic year. Why all this effort for a small institution of fewer than 2,000 students? Why all the work for something that a majority of the world would scratch their heads about, this precious thing called liberal arts education? Some might answer for the legitimacy that a degree brings to the job market. For others, the close relationships and tight community that a small institution of learning creates. For still others, the opportunity to develop athletic or artistic talents. All of these are valid reasons, but they do not capture the essence of what distinguishes liberal arts colleges as unique institutions. And they do not capture what makes Conn unique among liberal arts colleges. Since you've taken the time to choose a liberal arts college, you've probably heard about the value of a diverse curriculum and the importance of critical thinking. Liberal arts colleges do not simply help you prepare for careers after college or enhance your knowledge base in a particular major or pre-professional track. They teach a new way of looking at the world through a critical lens that uncovers patterns that yield deeper insights and understandings. But what does this really mean for you as a liberal arts student beginning your four-year journey at Conn? It means that you will take a Conn course. Conn courses are courses designed to teach integrative thinking. They could be in mathematics or art history or philosophy, but they help you make linkages to other fields and to see how this academic knowledge connects to real-world problems. It means that you have the option to participate in interdisciplinary centers and pathways that teach you step by step to see even more complex linkages, whether uncovering the common statistical principles across genetics, psychology, and economics, or the similarity of gender and justice in different historical periods and across a variety of cultures. In pathways such as public health, sustainability and social justice, and creativity, or centers focused on international studies, arts and technology, or community action, you learn to develop your own integrative questions that cut across disciplines and seek to bring light upon serious contemporary challenges. This summer, I saw the first-hand power of our Connections program. Sheetal Shabria, professor of history and coordinator of our Power, Knowledge, and Practice pathway, gave a stunning analysis in a virtual meeting of the political and social undercurrents of the health disparities revealed by the current pandemic. Drawing on interdisciplinary knowledge in economics, public health, and political theory, she presented a case study from her native India to illustrate how access to healthcare can differentiate outcomes in response to COVID-19. In this same summer, our students from the Center for International Studies in the Liberal Arts and the Walter Commons for Global Engagement spearheaded an informal language challenge program with 135 participants recording a remarkable 3,138 hours of additional language learning in the months of July and August. And we're not just talking Spanish and French. These students were learning Bulgarian, Hindi, Korean, Swahili, Turkish, and Twi. Even though our students could not travel overseas, their connection to the study of language and culture still flourished. One more example. Our faculty and staff were determined to bring back students to campus if state health and safety guidelines could be met. Yet with social distancing, how might we both expand our class schedule and reduce the density of contact within our classrooms? This was not an easy logistical problem, and the clock was ticking for the start of school. Who stepped in to save the day but Professor Christine Chung and her students from Computer Science and the Data in Society pathway. Using their knowledge of algorithmic theory, They provided calculations that optimized both space and time constraints to fit the largest number of students in classrooms in the safest and most efficient manner. Thank you, Christine, and thank you, Connections. All of this happened in one summer, and all of this happened because of the integrative frame of mind that characterizes liberal arts thinking, and especially the kind you find at Conn. There's something else that our connection program exemplifies. There's the connection we make across faculty, staff, and students. I can attest to this since I was one of the faculty members that brought Connections into being. During those early phases and throughout this program's development, faculty, staff, and students worked side by side in its conception and then in its realization. If they work well, liberal arts colleges are true communities. They teach one about positionality, to identify your own stance as well as others in the world, to understand where you are coming from and where others are balanced with regard to power, difference, and vision. A liberal arts education builds this habit of mind. It exercises the muscle of taking another's perspective, of cultivating both understanding and empathy. In a cultural moment when the ravages of social inequity are being laid bare, the capacity for seeing beyond oneself is more than a benefit of a liberal arts education. It is essential. And this perspective taking is as strong at Conn as at any academic institution I have ever known. As you embrace your education at Conn, you will learn to become a discoverer of patterns, a skilled detective who uncovers necessary connections that help you to understand and ultimately change the world. And here is where the smallness of a liberal arts college, our college, matters most. You will have our beloved faculty and staff, and most of all, our fellow students as your partners and mentors in this learning and discovery process. There's never been a more important moment for the liberal arts. The world needs graduates who have clarity of mind, reserves of empathy, and capacity for integrative problem solving. The repopulating of our campus and our enhanced commitment to excellence in virtual learning affirm our promise to deliver the finest liberal arts education possible. We are so grateful that you are joining us in this shared endeavor. Welcome to Conn. It is now my pleasure to introduce Kayla Glemaud, a member of the class of 2021 and the vice president of our Student Government Association. Kayla is a student advisor program coordinator who began working last spring to help plan the orientation you just went through. You may also have seen her on the informative and entertaining videos that have been shared by Deans Marash and Norbert with you this summer. She has a few thoughts that I think you will appreciate on what it means to begin your education at Conn. Kayla?
Thank you, Dean Singer. It is so nice to be with you all today as we begin this semester at Conn. My name is Kayla Glemaud, and I am a senior at Connecticut College. I'm a scholar in the Center for International Studies and the Liberal Arts with a double major in International Relations and French Studies. On campus, I am vice president of the Student Government Association, a student advisor coordinator, and the head of public relations for TEDx Connecticut College. And I'm a baker and barista at Coffee Closet. Whether you're on campus, off campus, or studying remotely, this is going to be a period of change and growth for all of us. As I reflect on my time here, I remember my mindset on my first year move-in day 3 years ago. While my family and I drove from Brooklyn to New London, I was nervous and excited, but mostly filled with questions. I wondered what my college experience would be like, what friends I would make, and what my major would be, but most importantly, how would I navigate this new chapter in my life? Though, the first thing on my mind was if I was going to get along with my first-year roommate. We were opposites in every way, but I remember during orientation, we would stay up late and talk with each other every night, realizing that even though we had a lot of differences, we had fundamental similarities. To this day, she's one of my closest friends. I've also been fortunate to have maintained strong friendships from my first-year seminar on the topic of love and justice with Professor Kim. Our class had meaningful discussions that led us to grow as individuals and intellectuals. Every week after class, we would all go to lunch together, and now many of us still remain close. As a first-year student, I lived in Harkness and went downstairs to the coffee shop, Coffee Closet, every day. I knew everyone who worked there, and after a couple of weeks, they would start to make my coffee order as soon as I walked in. I would talk to whomever was working and lose track of time while I sat at the high counter, getting advice on which classes to take and on navigating different social situations. I applied to be a barista in my second semester, and in the time since I was hired, all of my shifts working behind the counter and baking have allowed me to meet new people I never would have met otherwise. I began with basic professional skills, but now I find myself more equipped to handle a myriad of workplace scenarios, which has made this job one of the things I'm most proud of being a part of on campus. The close-knit community Conn fosters is unique. It is the reason for my academic success, my personal growth, and for the long-lasting friendships that have made me the person I am today. Just as my first year at Conn was filled with new change and experiences, this semester will be like none other. But I'm happy to be back home at Conn and to embrace our new normal. I look forward to getting to know you all, either in person or remotely. Welcome to Conn. And now, for our final speaker tonight, I have the honor of introducing the 11th President of Connecticut College, Katherine Bergeron.
Thank you for those remarks, Kayla and Jefferson. And hello, everyone. I'm here on South Campus, standing by Nike, the goddess of victory, with the admission building not far behind me. The location seems appropriate because your journey over the past 5 months, from admission to orientation, feels very much like a victory this year. I know how much I have been waiting for this moment. And so the first thing I must do is to welcome everyone who has joined us for this event. Students, parents, guardians, family members, friends, staff, faculty, and trustees. We are gathered to mark the arrival of a very special group of students, our 20 new transfers, and the 440 incomparable young people who make up the class of 2024. I cannot tell you how happy I am to be celebrating with you across our campus, across the region, across the country, and across the world in what has to be the first virtual President's Welcome in our history. Let's face it, new students, you are making history. Yes, the class of 2024 is the most diverse class we have ever admitted, but you are also entering college at a turbulent moment in our nation's history. I'm not sure there has ever been a class at Connecticut College who began their education under the same circumstances. The students who arrived in the fall of 1918 under President Marshall experienced the college in the throes of the Spanish flu pandemic. The students who arrived in the fall of 1930 under President Catherine Blunt bore the economic burdens of the Great Depression. The students who arrived in the fall of 1968 under President Charles Shane remembered a summer of unfathomable social, racial, and political upheaval. But for those of you who are starting your college journey now, in the year 2020, the challenges of those 3 years are rolled into one, with a pandemic, massive unemployment, and urgent calls for racial justice. Not to mention a presidential election just 55 days away. Yes, new students, the historians will be writing about this moment. So here is my advice to you. Make your story all that it can be. So, how can you do that? I can think of 3 ways. First, you can do your part in protecting the health of this community. That is how you will help the college. Second, you can exercise your democratic rights. That's how you will help the country. And third, and most important, you can begin practicing the art of dialogue. That is how you will help yourselves. All 3 speak to the idea of citizenship that lies at the center of the college's mission. You're here, as we say, to put the liberal arts into action as citizens of a global society. It's a mission that can be traced back to our earliest days. The first students at Conn, over 100 years ago, used to sign a pledge to use their talents for the benefit of the college, the community, the nation, and the world. This year, the call to citizenship is even more urgent, and I am inviting each of you to take it to heart. Those of you who are on campus took the first step when you signed our Camel's Care Pledge, promising to safeguard the campus from COVID-19. Perhaps you saw this pledge as your ticket to entry. I see it as a first step in fulfilling our mission. Learning to put the liberal arts into action means learning to put the interests of others before your own, for the greater good. This links to our honor code with its values of respecting, caring for, and holding each other accountable to do the right thing. When you take care to protect the campus from COVID, your individual effort becomes a community gain, a form of civic enrichment. Think about it. The virus is demanding this shift in perspective, from a focus on yourself to a broader view of others. No student has ever had the benefit of starting college reflecting on their civic duty in quite this way. That reframing will do much more than help Conn. It could just change your life. So that's the first point. Not every student has had the benefit of starting college in an election year either. And this, too, could be life-changing. For most of you, it will be the first time voting in a presidential election, among the most serious civic duties. This summer, we mourned the death of the great Congressman John Lewis, who risked his life in the summer of 1965 while marching in Selma to secure the right to vote for all Black Americans. Lewis described voting as an almost sacred right, the most powerful nonviolent tool we have in a democracy, he said. In a year when we also mark the centennial of women's suffrage, the best way to honor those who fought is by exercising that right. So that's a second point. Fortunately, we have some camels to inspire us. I'm thinking of Debo Adegbile, class of '92, vice chair of our board of trustees. As counsel for the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, he twice defended the Voting Rights Act of 1965 before the Supreme Court. I'm thinking of Chakina Sims, class of '16, a Posse scholar and former Young Alumni trustee who was honored this summer for her work as president of Chicago Votes, a nonprofit focused on building a more inclusive democracy. And I'm thinking also of Josette Moses and Julia O'Connell, current students in the class of '21 who are leading a voting campaign on our own campus. Over the summer, I signed the All-In Democracy Challenge to promote a goal of 100% voter participation at Conn. I'm counting on you new students to lead the way. And this leads me to the last point I want to make. It's a question, really, about how you might think about your historic first year at Connecticut College. What kind of citizen will you be? 2020 has been a historic year, as you know, not only because of the effects of an ongoing pandemic. It has also been historic because of the exponential growth in a movement calling for an end to anti-Black racism, an end to the dehumanizing acts of violence against Black citizens by those meant to protect us. Millions have taken to the streets from the smallest towns to our nation's capital to protest the senseless killings of Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, the shooting of Jacob Blake, in an overwhelming summer of national reckoning. It has been so overwhelming that rather than taking action, you might be tempted now to escape into your studies or social life as a relief. But I'm asking you instead to lean into this moment and into this new opportunity that your education at Conn offers, to learn to become better citizens. That will require even more work than protecting yourself from a virus, more work than voting in an election, because it means looking hard enough to see not just yourself, but another person's humanity. It means listening close enough to hear not your own, but another person's truth, with humility and respect. It means staying long enough to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, not just as you try to use your own voice, but more importantly, as you enable those around you to use theirs. This is the art of dialogue. At Connecticut College, we have an initiative called the Agnes Gun Dialogue Project, named for a 1960 graduate of the college and former president of the Museum of Modern Art, who has worked throughout her life to confront injustice and oppression. The project has already made it possible for many students to learn how, as Bell Hooks has written, to cross those boundaries that may or may not be erected by race, gender, class, or professional standing in order to facilitate difficult conversations and bring about change. By engaging with these peer leaders, you new students will have the opportunity to learn this art yourselves. If you devote yourself to it, I guarantee it will make you all better citizens. And that will not just change your life, it will end up changing the world. So that, new camels, is the project we hold up to you as you begin your education at Conn. It's the project, the promise, really, of putting the liberal arts into action. If you reach for the citizenship that lies at the heart of our mission, you will make history. I invite all of you to begin your journey today by embracing that singular challenge. Welcome to Connecticut College. And now, to conclude this event, I want to join up with Jefferson and Kayla for one final ritual, the act of presenting the class banner to the class of 2024. We will meet at another iconic spot on campus, the top of Temple Green, where Dean Singer will tell you all about this century-old tradition.
Yes, this is a moment I look forward to every year. It is a tradition at Connecticut College that the new entering class receives a banner bearing the year of their graduation. The banners come in one of 4 colors: green, blue, purple, and red, each representing one of the 4 classes making up the student body. The college makes sure the banners are displayed at significant occasions, at convocation, at commencement, and even after your graduation at reunions and other events. The first occasion will be today. Even though we are gathered virtually, we want to make sure that you receive your banner in the proper spirit, and so we're going to do that now. Class of 2024, you are true blue. We present you with this banner symbolizing our belief in you, in your persistence, your success, and your future contributions to Connecticut College and to the world. Welcome to Conn.